Jaya Jaya Shankara Hara Hara Shankara 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 Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuktanam adharmasya tadatmanam shrajamyaham. The Supreme Power assumes a human form from time to time to bring erring humanity back to the correct path. With the onset of Kali Yuga, the Vedic way of life and Sanatana Dharma were swaying away. The gods approached Lord Shiva to revive the world. He promised to incarnate. Shiva Guru and Aryamba, the childless couple, prayed to Lord Shiva and were blessed with a son. The divine incarnation was born at Kaladi, Kerala in 788 AD. The child was named Shankara. Sam means prosperity and Karati means the giver. As Shankara grew up, he attracted everyone with his intelligence, kindness and divinity. He was a prodigal child with superhuman capabilities. At the age of 2, he could fluently speak and write Sanskritam. His Upanayanam was conducted by age 5. Then initiated into Gurukulam for learning the scriptures. By the age of 8, he could recite all the Vedas. He lost his father early and was raised by his mother. Once, Shankara the Brahmachari, as per the practice, went to beg for alms. On a Dwadeshi day, he came across a house with a lady in utter poverty. The lady did not have any food to offer. However, she had kept a single amla fruit for herself. She unhesitatingly gave this amla fruit to Shankara, as she could not send a brahmachari empty-handed. The young Shankara, moved by the miserable condition and her selflessness, instantaneously composed a hymn on Lakshmi known as the Kanakadara Stotram, praying for the relief of the family. Goddess Lakshmi showered the house with golden amla fruits. Sri Shankara's aging mother once fell unconscious while returning from a bath at the river. Sri Shankara invoked the river and prayed that she must change her course and flow near their home so as to facilitate his mother. The following morning, the people of Kaladi were struck with awe when they found that the river indeed had changed the course, giving to the young brahmachari's earnest appeal. Sri Shankara felt the call for sannyasa, but Aryamba was unprepared to part with her only son. One day, when Sri Shankara was bathing in the river Purna, a crocodile caught his leg and started dragging him in. He appealed to his mother to give him permission to take sannyasa, conferring a punarjanmam or a new life. Aryamba consented to Sri Shankara's request. At the age of 12, he entrusted his mother in the care of his relatives and became an ascetic and left home. Sri Shankara went in search of a guru to be formally initiated into sannyasa. At the banks of the river Narmada, he found the river gushing forth into floods. By using his power, he encapsulated the river in his kamandalam and released it on the shore. Sri Govinda Bhagavatpada, an ascetic, marveled seeing Shankara's ability and took him as his disciple. Under Sri Govinda Bhagavatpada, Shankara studied the profound philosophy of Vedanta for 4 years. He advised Sri Shankara to spread this truth throughout the country. His guru directed him to philosophical commentary on the spiritual texts. Shankara left for Varanasi and wrote the commentaries on the Brahma Sutras, the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita. Then, Kashi was an important center for learning, where scholars from across the world assembled. It was essential to debate and win over the scholars of Kashi for one's doctrine to be accepted by the world. In an era when there weren't technological advancements in communication, this was the best way to propagate one's philosophy. By that time, Sri Shankara had a lot of disciples. One of them, Sanandhyaya, was drying the clothes of his guru. Sri Shankara called out to him from the other shore of the river as he needed the clothes urgently. Sanandhyaya, little realizing that he would drown, starts walking into the river. By the grace of his Guru, a lotus materialized wherever he was keeping his foot. When asked as to how he crossed the river, he says that when his Guru calls, he is not to worry about anything. Sri Shankara named him Padmapadar, lotus foot. Once in Kashi, when Sri Shankara was going to the Vishwanatha temple, his path was blocked by an untouchable who was accompanied by his wife and 4 dogs. The disciples of Sri Shankara shouted at him to make way and to keep a distance. The untouchable smiled and said, "What he bade to go away? Is it the outcast body or his Atma?" If it was the former, he said, it was composed of the same 5 elements as Sri Shankara's own body and was not different. So it need not go away. If it was the Atman, then according to the Advaita that Sri Shankara taught, the Atman of all people, Brahmana or outcast, was one, identical and all-pervasive. It cannot move away. Sri Shankara immediately understood that his questioner was no ordinary outcast, but a realized soul, and broke forth into a pentad of verses, Manisha Panchakam, acclaiming the outcast's greatness. Sri Shankara said in the verse that he deemed a person of such spiritual realization to be his Guru, be he an outcast or a Brahmana. According to the legend, it was Lord Shiva himself who appeared as this outcast. The 4 dogs were the 4 Vedas. Lord Shiva presented himself along with Visalakshi and blessed Sri Shankara, exhorting him to finish writing his commentaries. When Sri Shankara was about 16, a very old Brahmin of ill health appeared before him with a request to resolve some of his doubts. A rigorous discussion followed between the master and the Brahmana, who disputed for a number of days with elaborate arguments on Sri Shankara's interpretations of the Brahma Sutras. Sri Shankara was astounded by his intelligence and arguments, but they continued their discussion. One of Sri Shankara's disciple, Padmapada, wondered who the doughty debater was. In an intuitive flash, it struck him that he must be the great Bhagavan Vedavyasa, the author of the Brahma Sutras. He exclaimed, "Shankara is Shiva and Vyasa is Narayana himself. When these 2 gods themselves dispute, what can a mere mortal like me do?" As Sri Shankara argued, his ideas crystallized and he realized that the dispute was none other than Vyasa Rishi. Prostrating before him, he begged to be blessed. Sri Shankara said that he has done a great disrespect to the sage by entering into an argument. Vyasa Rishi said, "I fully agree with your bhashyam. I wanted to establish that yours is correct. I will bless you to live for another 16 years to spread this Advaita throughout the country." Sri Shankara learnt that there was a learned person by the name Mandana Mishra who lived in Mahishmati, who followed the Karma Mimamsa method of devotion. When Sri Shankara arrived at his house, he found his house locked because Mandana Mishra was carrying out some rituals inside the house. Sri Shankara entered the house by using his powers. Mandana Mishra became very angry and shouted at Sri Shankara. But Sri Shankara smiled and explained the uselessness of such rituals. Sri Shankara said that he did not come there for Anna Bhiksha, alms of food, but made him agree to a Vada Bhiksha, alms of knowledge. Mandana Mishra admired the intelligence of Sri Shankara and started discussions with him after completing the rituals. The disputants agreed that the Mandana Mishra's wife Sarasavani, who was said to be an incarnation of goddess Saraswati, Mandana Mishra himself being Brahma, should act as an umpire to the debate. Sarasavani was an extremely intelligent, learned woman. She realized that Sri Shankara was none other than Lord Shiva. She suggested that both of them should wear a garland of flowers, and whichever garland fades first, that person would be the loser. Naturally, Sri Shankara won. Sarasavani said the husband and wife, even though were two bodies, are spiritually one, so he should debate with her as well. Sri Shankara accepted the challenge and started discussions with Sarasavani. Sarasavani showered questions like rain, and Sri Shankara gave very beautiful answers. Sarasavani and Mandana Mishra became Sri Shankara's disciples. Sri Shankara then travelled to Badri in the Himalayas, where his guru Govindapada and his guru's guru Gaudapada were living in enjoyment of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He made them revert to the world consciousness by singing the famous Dakshinamurti Stotra. He received their blessings and continued his yatra. In their travels, Sri Shankara, Mandana Mishra and Sarasavani reached Sringeri in Karnataka, which is on the banks of the river Tungabhadra. While Sri Shankara and Mandana Mishra were walking, Sarasavani did not move and stood transfixed in the sands of the Tungabhadra. Sri Shankara turned back and realized by his divine powers that Sarasavani did not want to proceed any further and created a seat for her for spreading the Advaita. This seat is today called the Sringeri Sharada Peetam, or the seat of Sharada. This was the first mat installed by Sri Shankara with the direction that all heads of the mats will be called Shankaracharyas and they will have a lineage of Sishyas or disciples. When Sri Shankara was in Sringeri, he divined by his superior powers that his mother was in her deathbed. As per his promise while taking sannyasa, he reached Kaladi to be by her side while she breathed her last and paid his last respects to the old lady. Aryamba was very happy that her son had come back. Sri Shankara prayed to Lord Venkateshwara, who appeared in person and blessed Aryambal. Being a sannyasi, Sri Shankara still did the last rites for his mother, much against the people of Kaladi. After the death of his mother, he travelled throughout India on foot 3 times from Nepal to Rameshwaram. He preached the universal philosophy of Advaita in the important centers of learning, places of pilgrimage, and in the capitals of kings. He revived a number of temples. Using his divine powers, established a number of yantras in these temples to spread the blessings of Parashakti. According to legend, he was affectionately received by his great original, Lord Parameshwara. Lord Shiva blessed him with 5 Spatika Lingams and a transcript of Saundarya Lahari, hymns in praise of the Divine Mother, when he visited Kailash. The 5 Lingams given by Shiva were known as Moksha Lingam, Varalingam, Bhogalingam, Mukti Lingam and Yoga Lingam. Sri Shankara then returned to Kedarnath, where he installed the Mukti Lingam. At Badri, he established the Jyotir Peetam. Proceeding then to Nepal, he vanquished the Buddhists who denied the Jivatma Paramatma philosophy. He installed the Varalingam at the Nilakanta Kshetram in Nepal. Wending his steps southwards, Bhagavatpada went to Dwaraka in the western corner of India. Sacred to the memory of Sri Krishna, he established the Kalika Peetam there. Crossing the country, travelling eastwards, he came to Puri Kshetram. He founded the Govardhana Peetam after worshipping Lord Jagannatha. Traversing thence to the western Ghats, a poor Brahmin came with his deaf and dumb son and prostrated before Sri Shankara. Sri Shankara asked the boy, "Who are you?" The dumb and deaf child spoke for the very first time and said, "The body is not me, it is the Paramatma who is in my body." Sri Shankara was pleased with his answer and named this boy Hastamalakhan. Hastamalaka became one of the principal disciples of Sri Shankara. Sri Shankara, with his 3 principal disciples, namely Padmapadar, Sureshwara and Hastamalaka, went from place to place and preached Advaita. Sri Shankara gave intense training to his disciples.
One of his other disciples, Giri, while listening to the discourses, would be silent all the time. The other disciples thought Giri was a dumb idiot and did not know anything. One day, while all the disciples were ready to listen to Sri Shankara's discourses, Acharya waited for Giri to arrive. Ultimately, Giri turned up, but instead of keeping silent on that day, burst forth into 8 slokas which had never been heard by the other disciples earlier. These were the creation of Giri. On hearing this, all the disciples felt ashamed and praised Giri. These slokas are called Totaka Ashtakam. Giri was named as Totaka by Sri Shankaracharya. Sri Shankara visited Tirupati and recited the sloka Vishnu Padadi Keshata Stotram, which describes the Lord from the foot to the head. He wanted people to visit the Lord in great numbers and get his blessings. He established a Dhanakarshana Yantra which increased followers to this day and draws vast sums of wealth from pious devotees. Sri Shankara visited Thiruvidaimarudur in Tamil Nadu. The learned Shaivites of the temple could not agree that Lord Shiva, the creator, and a mortal human being can be the same Brahman. They did not agree with the Advaita principle. Sri Shankara asked them to enter the temple. As they reached the sanctum sanctorium of the temple, there was a thunderous statement, Satyam is Advaita. This was repeated thrice, and it was also followed by a hand which came out of the lingam which confirmed the truth. The Shaivites acknowledged philosophy of Advaita and accepted Sri Shankara as their guru. Even today, there is a Shankara Mat at Thiruvidaimarudur and there is a lingam with a hand materializing out of it. At Sri Shaila in Andhra, it is believed that Lord Shiva appeared as Arjuna and Goddess Parvati as Mallika, hence the name Mallika Arjuna. The Shiva Lingam resides under a Maruta tree with jasmine creepers on this tree. Sri Shankara visited this tree and became ascetic on seeing the linga. His happiness flowed like the waves of a flood and became a sloka called Shivananda Lahari. Shankara installed a Sri Chakra in the shrine of the presiding goddess Sri Brahmarambika. Near Sri Shailam, there is a dense forest called Hatakeshwaram. Sri Shankara did penance for many days there. The Kapalikas who lived there practiced human and animal sacrifices. They were against Advaita, which preaches love and affection and shuns violence. They asked Sri Shankara to give his body as a human sacrifice to Lord Shiva. Sri Shankara was happy to hear this request and agreed. And as they were about to cut Sri Shankara's head, Lord Narasimha appears in the form of a lion and kills the Kapalika. Sri Shankara then visited Thiruvannaikaval near Trichy in Tamil Nadu. In this temple, the goddess Akilandeshwari was a fierce Ugra goddess. To appease the deity, the Acharya established a temple of Ganesha opposite to that of the goddess. So, when the temple doors were opened in the morning, the first person to catch the eye of the goddess would be her own favorite son. Sri Shankara created 2 Sri Chakras in the shape of 2 earrings, which are called Tatankams, and he presented these to the goddess. The Sri Chakra is a diagram of 9 interlocking triangles that radiate from a central point called the Bindu. Adi Shankara believed that the powerful energy of the goddess would be harnessed in this chakra to mitigate its effects on the common man. This Tatankam or earring has been maintained over time by the Acharyas of the Kanchi Mutt. Sri Shankara completed the travels south and went to Badrinath. Lord Vishnu appeared before him and said that his sculpture in Alakananda river should be taken out and a temple should be built for it. This temple is called the Badrinarayanan temple and is one of the most important religious shrines today. Sri Shankara's Digvijaya Yatra extended throughout the length and breadth of Bharat. He then went to the land's end in Rameshwaram to worship Lord Ramanatha. The lingam that he celebrated in his Dwadasha Linga Stotram, sung in praise of the 12 Dwadasha Jyotirlingams installed in the foremost temples of Shiva. Returning, he visited Chidambaram and left the Moksha Lingam, one of the lingams he got from Kailash, to be worshipped there. Adi Sankaracharya is believed to be instrumental in Devi Mookambika taking Kollur as her abode. According to legends, when Devi appeared in front of him asking for his wish, Adi Shankara wishes to install Devi's idol. Devi agreed to it, but to test Adi Shankara, Devi makes a condition that she will follow him to his destination and he should not look back. To test Shankara, Devi deliberately stopped the chime of her anklets when they reached Kollur. Shankara's suspicion made him turn and look back. Devi then instructed Shankara to install her idol at that very location in Kollur. The goddess in this temple is dedicated to knowledge and art. Shankara ultimately reached Kanchipuram. Kanchi is known as one of the 7 Mokshapuris or places of liberation in our sacred land. It has through the ages had a memorable political, literary, cultural and religious history. It has been the venue of philosophical disputations of all schools of thought. No religious leader considered his mission fulfilled or his victory complete unless he vanquished rivals of other faiths in that famous city. As its name signifies, Kanchi is the waistline of the earth and the central spot. It was but appropriate that Sri Shankara also should go to the place to proclaim the Advaita Vedanta, vindicating it against the other schools of philosophy. Acclaimed by everyone as the supreme master of all that is to be known, Sri Shankara ascended before a large assembly the throne of omniscience known as the Sarvajna Peetham at Kanchi. He then mitigated the Ugram, the fierce aspect of goddess Kamakshi, drawing it into a Sri Chakram, which he placed in front of her and consecrated it. After renovating the temples in Kanchi, he asked the reigning king of Kanchi to fashion the city in the form of a Sri Chakram, giving the central place to the shrine of goddess Kamakshi. He is supposed to have lived in the sacred city of Kanchi with his disciples. Numerous sculptures or stone images of Sri Sankaracharya can be seen in all the temples of Kanchi. In a very short span of 32 years, he accomplished the unthinkable and attained Samadhi at Kedarnath.